But yeah, today I was talking about the idea of like games like Dragon Age, like they have loading screens that show you a codex entry, but then they just end the loading screen the moment the loading's done. But it's like the codex entry is massive. Like you don't have time to read it on PC. I can't even imagine how you'd ever read it on. I mean, you don't have time to read it on console, so I can't even imagine how you'd ever read those things on PC, where you're probably loading faster. It's like what they really should do is just load up the codex entry like always, because it's a pleasant situation to read that kind of stuff, and just let the loading screen last. Like, have the loading screen do that thing where when it finishes it says X to continue. Because then if you want to read it, you actually can. And since you're reading a codex entry, you also don't really notice how long it's taking to load. So you do two things at once.
I think that should just be an option. Game options.
But it's not, until someone mods it in, maybe.
Yeah.
Because frankly, like you've played Dragon Age, and I assume that at some point you saw a loading screen. I don't know how fast it loaded on PC, but
incredibly quickly once I got onto my new computer. But no, I remember the loading screens.
Yeah, like you get a beautiful painted background and a big card that shows up with text, and you can even change cards if you're taking too long to load and read like 3 different cards.
Yeah, I remember that. That was actually a really good handling.
Yeah,
that's just
it actually looks better than the game's real codex screen.
Yeah.
So it's like, no, let's just do this, and then like just only show me new things, and if I scroll through something, that means I read it. Yay. Or like have a mark as read button.
I'm hitting anything here. I'm like stuck in corners.
They can organize these things so well.
Yeah.
Oh, these things walk through they're freaky. They can walk through the plants like no big deal. They have the advantage here. Oh my god.
was asking if Dragon Age Inquisition is a good game.
We're MOBA jungling.
It's probably the best like RPG that I've ever played. We want to go down here. Not left.
I'm so torn.
No, Witcher. I think Witcher's a better RPG, but I think Dragon Age is more casual.
I would say Witcher has a better story, especially on a character level.
Yeah, but like the movement and combat just made me so angry in comparison.
Yeah, Witcher has bad combat for the most part.
Yeah, whereas like Dragon Age is fun to play.
Your best option is Witcher is that if you go full signs, you can at least have like tactical decisions about which spell you're casting, but the combat's like a really bad version of Dark Souls, where it's really twitchy and awkward and kind of inconsistent. But Dragon Age has problems too, where the story has a cool, grand thing where epic stuff happens. Like, right before I did this, I just finished the second DLC, which, without spoiling anything specific or anything like that, actually, even though it's a DLC, has massive world implications about the story it reveals in it, and it's really cool to have that stuff. But on the same time, like, if you play through Dragon Age, I don't know if you really care about the Inquisitor very much, even though he's the protagonist. Like,
I mean, he's just kind of a self-insert. He's a Mary Sue. It's hard to get that attached.
But he's too Mary Sue. Like,
that's true.
Like, the Inquisitor is basically Shepard from Mass Effect 3, where he's fixing all of the galaxy's problems simultaneously, and not just like the individual ones on this specific planets, but like all of them. Like, he's addressing every issue that's ever happened on in the world of Thetis, basically, at some point, and it only gets worse in this newest DLC, where it's like he's dealing with such grand concepts, so that one person doing all these things gets silly.
That's what happens.
My problem is that my favorite story in a BioWare game so far is probably the one that everyone hated. 'Cause I like characters more than anything. Like, like I care way more about like progressing Garrus's storyline in the 3 Mass Effect games than I do about Corypheus. So
I mean, I don't disagree.
For me, their best story so far, is based. Actually, this wasn't what I was going to say, but I might almost say Mass Effect 2 because of its amazing companion storylines, but my favorite... that's companion stories, though, but as far as the main story of a BioWare game goes, my favorite one's actually Dragon Age 2.
I've never played Dragon Age 2. I tried playing through Dragon Age Origins and just couldn't. It was too long.
The premise of Dragon Age 2 is that you play a family that lived in Ferelden during the Blight. They fled Ferelden because of the Blight, and so they go off to this place called Kirkwall, which is across the ocean. And basically, you just are trying to keep... You're just one person, male or female or whatever, looking out for your sibling and your mother in this foreign town. And the game takes place in 3 acts that each takes place during like a different time period, basically. Like you have time jumps of a few months or a few years between them, and you just deal with these. You deal with problems that happen in that individual city that don't go beyond that city. And so you end up just... It's really cool because you just have these personal problems about what happens with these people and the people you meet, all in this small scale. And they have a macro scale story that ends up coming from it, but it's just so much more personal as a result. To the point where, like, if characters are lost along the way, you actually care a lot about it, as opposed to like pretty much every storyline you do in Dragon Age Inquisition, some character you meet along that quest chain probably dies horribly midway through, but you're like, oh, that guy's dead. That's sad. I recognize his voice actor. And that's like the most you get out of it, because it's like...
It was Nolan North.
Like, I've had moments in Inquisition where someone dies, and then they're, like, sobbing, like, oh, no, here, I'm gonna extol his virtues about all these things you didn't know about them, because this is why you should care more about their death, because, oh, no, like, now their family is gonna be screwed and stuff, oh, no. I was like, you're explaining after they die why I should care that they died, and I'm like, this is just too much story. It's too big. We need to slow down, spend, like, 3 hours with the same people or something. But that doesn't happen enough in new BioWare. That's a bummer.
Alright, I'm not gonna lie, I like the combat in this game. The quests are boring as fuck.
Yeah. Like, that's
like the difference. The previous one was they were too hot, so we had to go kill druids to steal their secrets about keeping cool in the jungle, since they were wearing robes. And this one's about something mirrors, and, like, we just have to go kill monsters, because... We just have to go kill more monsters.
This strikes me as a game where they made worlds and monsters and settings, and then they're like, let's make excuses for them to go do those things. And then that's kind of the story or quest.
It definitely feels that way.
Can I not hurt these things? Oh wait, I can just teleport past them. I'm stupid.
It's kind of a shame, but at the same time, like...
I wasn't teleporting.
Let's be honest here. This kind of gameplay is very rarely used well to tell a story. Like, we mentioned Secret of Mana. I think that's a very good example of, like, gameplay storytelling, whatever you want to call it.
I can't comment on that one.
I've only seen part of it. There was a webcomic called Secret of Magic Theater that effectively just added voice acting and animation. It was effectively a Let's Play before Let's Plays were a thing, like back in...
well, it's the old version of Let's Plays that Bird insists is technically still the same thing. We had a discussion about that.
Can we get through here?
Bird was like almost indignant a little bit that I was insisting that, like, the thing that used to be called Let's Plays, where you post pictures on a forum, is just not the same thing. Like, he talked about it as an evolution, and I'm like, nah, I wouldn't call it evolution. I'd call
Apparently that's just like a little side detour for no good reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you kidding me? Can we just not go down here?
Maybe.
Oh, we might be able to.
Is that where our quest objective is?
We have to go down. I thought we could take a different route through, but apparently we went that way just to collect some loot.
I'm sad.
Exactly. That is dumb. I don't like that.
Let me break everything. I'm a super teleporter magic dude.
Yeah,
what's the point of being magic if I can't break everything? That's all I do in Witcher, is just break the combat with magic.
I've been doing that a lot in Battle Block Theater, and Bird's starting to get really upset about it.
In Witcher, I have never put a single point into combat skills, like for like your swordplay or like even survivability.
Because you're going full magic.
It's 100% magic. So like I put a shield on myself, and then I put a circle down on the ground that slows everyone. Then I mind control someone so that they can't like react to anything around them, and then I set everyone on fire. And then I just watch the world burn. And
that actually sounds pretty fun.
It's pretty great. It's so much better than trying to stab people ever in that game, because the sword play is not great. Especially
the sword play, yeah, the finishing moves are really cool. There's some really fun. Oh,
hello, weird boss creature I saw on the Steam image gallery. Well, let's
not
get this
gonna lie, I
started.
was not expecting this.
Doom.
All right. Well, we have to go kill the treants first, I think.
You
I
didn't
don't
look
even
at
know if
the
we're fighting that thing.
You didn't look at the storm
No.
page?
Well, I didn't need to. I already own this game.
Yeah. I just look at them because
I've
that's
owned
my
this game
best.
since before. I'm just gonna let you finish this thing off. He hurts too much.
I just
Actually,
figured
no,
that
I
the
can
store
fight him
page is my
normally.
best chance at getting a first idea of what the game is I'm walking into. Like some concept of what it plays like or what it looks
Yeah.
like.
I was just lazy. Yeah, Dragon Age would be better because the fighting is more important than the story. I mean, Dragon Age still has a very enjoyable story. It's just not as...
I mean, my problem with Dragon Age Inquisition is I don't think that the combat's very good.
I actually really liked the combat. It's vastly inferior to, say, Dark Souls, in my opinion, just mechanically.
Well, I don't think it's
it's still
comparable to
very
Dark Souls. I think it's most comparable
Yeah.
to Dragon Age Origins. And Dragon Age Origins just kind of did it all better. And it's kind of rough playing Inquisition when you played Origins in any capacity. It looks like it's wearing it looks like a fat woman in a sweater.
It really does. In a tracksuit, not a sweater. Like, she's out for a jog and she decided to sit down in a doggy bed. And she's also gargantuan and jiggly.
Maybe she's just dogkin. You don't question what she identifies as.
So she's like, look into yourself and you will find where you need to go. And apparently we need to go to goddamn Mushroom Island.
I'm surprised
I
she's
don't know.
friendly. She just seemed like a boss fight.
He did, but no, she's an NPC. It tells us where to go next.
So were those
do we wanna
those
go back
treants
to
were the
town?
boss fight, I guess? Because I think they had the boss icon on them.
Well, that was the quest. We're already on the last quest of this area.
Yeah, I didn't read the name right away. I just saw boss, so I thought that was her health bar. But I guess that
I'm
was
gonna,
I guess
I'm
that was
gonna
the
have us
treants.
teleport back if all of the monsters have respawned. We might as well grab it. Oh, these people have gone insane at this point. They're all saying like, "Kill mother."
Kill mother.
I probably should have queued us up with it. Wait, can we not interact with the quest
We
board?
must protect this house. This is our
We
house.
can't interact with the quest board, apparently. No.
That seems problematic.
Might as well sell your stuff over here. I think we've got another
doing
dungeon.
just
coming
that.
up.
But yeah, so you said
Can I
you
still go
played
into the
Dragon
options
Age
here?
Origins though?
There we go. Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
So you know about how like it had the top-down perspective, and you could like pause and move time however you wanted to and everything. But then you like importantly like you could actually go into your each individual character's AI and set specific rules about how they would behave. Do you remember
Does that not exist in Inquisition anymore?
No, not really.
Okay, that's a bit of a shame.
In Inquisition, all you can
Actually.
do is you can tell them to follow or defend a specific character, and you can toggle individual skills on and off. And at most, you can set the most nuance you can do is set certain skills to priority, which is the most ambiguous thing you could conceive of.
I remember
basically.
that, actually, yeah. It's been a while. I guess I also play on much easier difficulties for RPGs, because in that case, kind of it's a nice vehicle for the story, but I'm more interested in just kind of having a relaxing game. Like,
Yeah.
right now...
But like, well, I brought this up because someone was talking about like Dragon Age is better because the combat's more important than the story or something like that, and I'm like, I'm talking about like, well, if you play on any difficulty where the
it really depends on like what kind of difficulty in combat we're talking about here. Because if you're just looking for like a really good ARPG, then the answer is always going to be Dark Souls, or even Lords of the Fallen, just because the gameplay is that much more involved.
Well, my issue with
I'm
Inquisition is that
dying.
the moment it's not about like just being an action game and reflex based or like something like that. It's just doing whatever you do right. And my go-to
That spider
example
did
is so often.
9,999 damage to me.
Whoops. Why don't you fucking get over it?
Fucking... this game really wants you to block. Like, whenever I block, I'm invincible from all angles. Which would be fine, except for the fact that everything is tiny. So good luck watching their, watching for their tails.
Yeah, it's a little hard to make sense of what's going on the screen
Especially
sometimes.
when you're all, like, just
As a melee
mashed down
character,
into one area.
For you, it's just a cloud of numbers.
Imagine if you were playing Diablo 3, and you had a block button that made you invincible. You can only block 5 attacks in a row. and all enemies could kill you in one hit. That is currently what I'm dealing with here.
Fun.
Yeah, I'm starting to get kind of crankles about it.
Blam, blam. Like, my issue is that, like, it doesn't have to be an action RPG. Because, like, Dragon Age... Like, by a core conceit, the way that they designed Dragon Age Origins and Inquisition, you're not really supposed to be playing it as a real-time, like, action RPG.
Yeah.
Like, that's not really the focus of it. It's supposed to be like a party, like, you look down at this party and control them and give them commands. And you kind of, and the action part that is just sort of there when you're in, like, mindless mode, clearing, like, stuff that's not hard or interesting. But that's like autopilot, like hold down button to basically win fight automatically mode, where you're not really even playing, you're barely playing a game and just kind of letting it happen to you.
Damn it!
You died again.
I let off block for 1 second. 1 second! And it just instantaneously killed me.
Like, I tend to judge a game by how well it performs during the part where the combat, like, matters and is supposed to be interesting.
I'm judging the fuck out of this right now. Like, I'm actually really unhappy with this.
In this game, it is kind of problematic.
Wait.
Like, in Dark Souls, that's kind of all the time. Like, encounters are all really interestingly designed, and boss fights are engaging.
Does this... We have to go back up. We gotta figure out how to go down or to the right from here.
Are we lost?
Maybe. I think I gave us the wrong turn.
I say we as if to shoulder some of the blame, but I'm not paying any attention. I've just been assuming you know where you're going because you've always had you're the host anyway, so you're the one that picks up every quest.
But we have to take the really we have to take the really long way around, and the map doesn't really tell you that. Like, this is the problem with the procedurally generated map, and I don't even see why this game needs it. I guess it just wanted to be more Diablo-y. Yep, that's the menu.
Yeah.
My block button is the same as my menu button. Or they're right next to each other, so it's very easy for me to Are you kidding me?
A lot of corpses to loot around here. This is a dead end, isn't it?
It's a dead end.
What if this game can procedurally generate levels where you can't complete them? Is that a real risk that we're thinking about here?
You have to go up and around here.
You're really fast. Are you faster than you used to be, or is something wrong with me?
I wouldn't be surprised if it's, like, weird netcode bits. I truly don't know, though.
Like, the game's just letting me move slower for some reason. I mean, thankfully I have a teleporter, this would be pain.
Yeah, this would be really obnoxious if I was just zipping forward at all times. Kill the mother. Can't.
But anyway, what I keep trying to articulate is that my issue with Dragon Age is that when you actually press it to any sort of limits and actually start making interesting tactical decisions and having to do something where you actually have to use the game mechanics to overcome something, you start realizing that there's massive flaws with the basics of how you can control your party. Where they will ignore what you say, they'll do the opposite of what you say. You give them a command, and the moment you, like, press time forward from the pause mode, you'll watch that command immediately vanish from their little, like, I'm about to do this thing queue, and they'll just do something else instead. You'll have characters stand still for a minute straight unless you go to them and then manually jump, because for some reason jumping, like, resets their command. Like, you'll see them standing there doing nothing. You'll switch to them, take physical control of them, and then you'll try to move and do commands, and you can't do anything either. And for some reason, jumping fixes that, and that still happens now, like almost a year after the game came out.
Yeah,
like, that's
I don't
still
think
an
that's
ongoing
a
thing.
Priority for them, unfortunately.
But like, the game, the basic combat breaks all the time. Like,
I just played it on an easier difficulty, so it wasn't a big deal.
I was doing a fight earlier where we were fighting on a ledge, and it's just like, we're all clearly in this little hallway-shaped area with the bad guys, and Vivian would just pick up and run the opposite direction into a different room, and then just stay there. And she had no command to go there.
We gotta go back.
She was just like, fuck it, I'm out.
We just went in a giant circle.
And like, she wasn't like feared, she didn't have like a go here command, she was just like, nope, that's where I think I'm supposed to go.
Okay. See that little mushroom on the right? We need to go through there. Unfortunately, we do not have the capacity to splunk through jungle. So we really have to go the incredibly long way around. Who designed this? Nobody did. That's the problem. Nobody thought this was a good idea because nobody did this.
Remember last time we played this game, or maybe when we played Dark Souls, where we talked about procedural generation, and I say that's not a good idea as a general rule because you're better off having levels that are designed.
I guess I'm going to recognize your point, but I'm also going to disagree with you. Procedural generation done well is wonderful. This is like if you took Tower of Guns, but made every room of that so piecemeal that it's not a room anymore. Like, that is what we are currently dealing with.
It's probably problematic to have an open world RPG with a storyline and quest chains that is procedurally generated.
I think randomly generated dungeons.
You're making too many elements that are. You're making too many of the random elements matter at that point, and then it's gonna break. It's gonna break.
Okay, so yeah, right now, like, we're not going that way.
It's kind of like the difference between Bloodborne campaign and Bloodborne Chalice dungeons, where the campaign's full of NPCs and boss fights that are all in all these organic locations and stuff's unfolding in cool ways, and there's like strategically placed loot that matters. And in the Chalice dungeons, it's kind of here's a bunch of random rooms and then a boss fight at the end, and it like the triggers are always the same because otherwise everything will shit itself.
It's a shame.
And like that's how Binding of Isaac works too. Here's a bunch of random rooms, and the only thing that matters is that the starting point and the ending point have to be connected, and the rest can just kind of happen.
I guess for Binding of Isaac, I'm totally okay with it because all of those rooms are so well designed that it's not a problem. And
it's just largely set up so that nothing could shit itself because there's not that much matters.
Yeah, there's no complexity or anything like that. So.
And that's a problem we might run into here, is that too much might matter to how you can play the game and progress, that it might shit itself when you make it random, and we might be in trouble at some point.
I think we're okay so far. Like, the easiest way to debunk a procedural generation is to effectively have a script that just draws a line from point A to point B, and if you can't do it, it chucks that out. And I'm more than willing to bet that they threw that into this one. That is weird.
You probably keep seeing me just magically spawn a ring somewhere without entering it. Because I'm just not teleporting, but I'm generating a teleporting ring. I don't know why that's happening. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Die! There we go. But basically my dream game is I really want a Pillars of Eternity Dragon Age.
Elaborate.
I want a top-down tactical RPG where you have absolute control of your entire party at all times, with no dumb AI trying to intercept you and ruin everything for you, unless you explicitly put them on a do your own thing mode, which is totally okay for them to give you, but as a thing you turn on and off, as opposed to Dragon Age things where it's on all the time and just will fuck you. But I don't want it to look like Pillars of Eternity, because Pillars of Eternity's presentation sucks.
Yeah, it really did.
I want all the Dragon Age presentation of 3D character models and voice acting, and the ability to rotate and zoom in the camera so you can tell what you're looking at. Like major fights of Pillars of Eternity that are like boss encounters with a bunch of tough things can have a big dumb tree in the middle of the room you can't see past. And you can't even rotate the camera because it's all baked in. Like, we rendered this in 3D, but now it's a 2D image, like Resident Evil old school. So you can't... If you can't make out a detail on a screen, you can't do anything about that. And you're just like, I can't... There's an AoE thing happening here, and there's 17 characters, and 3 of them have animal companions, and there's a tree in the middle of the screen, and I'm fucked. And everyone's a tiny sprite, because we decided to make this game a little too much. We're trying so hard to capture the nostalgia of old-ass Baldur's Gate that we made it look exactly like that to a fault. And that's... So I just want a game that looks like Dragon Age, but plays like Pillars. And that's my dream tactical RPG of I have all the control, but also it looks great and has a great story and it feels great. But they won't do that because the moment you get a budget to make a Dragon Age game, EA breathes down your neck of no, we have to dumb this down and make it really accessible. So they have to be able to sleepwalk through fights and stuff.
Thought so.
And have the AI try to do everything for people instead of having them play the game. And like I'm sad to say that like the way you play Dragon Age on like an easy mode is probably the best way to play it, unfortunately, because you can't.
Yeah.
You can't. The moment you play on a hard mode, the mechanics fall apart, and that's unfortunate.
I also just want something different out of like Dragon Age Inquisition than say you want out of Dragon Age Inquisition. If I want like a hard game, I'm gonna go play Dark Souls. I'm gonna go play a roguelike.
Yeah.
If it's gonna be story based, I don't want it to be hard. I don't want to be tactically challenging. And the problem is like you can't.
I want it all.
You can't program. You can't program in tactical difficulty and have it be like a really lengthy story-based game. Otherwise, you end up kind of like screwing yourself into a corner where like half the player base can't play anymore.
Isn't that what all old school RPGs were, though?
And it was
like
really bad
the whole
for them.
genre?
They had a terrible reputation.
That's why you give people an easy mode, where it's like everything dies easily, the end, and then those people can have that. They can experience the story.
That's a bad middle ground, though.
But that's what you're getting. Isn't that what you're doing when you play Dragon Age? Is you're just playing a mode where you kind of sleepwalk through all the combat and just get the story?
Well, yeah.
Because then the bad middle ground already exists. With it, except I don't get my extreme.
Better. Yeah.
I think the whole genre exists only as that bad middle ground already, and yet I don't get my extreme, and you don't get your extreme.
Yeah, because they're trying to pander to both of us, and that's kind of why I respect the Dark Souls games, because it's like, we are just literally going to be doing our thing here.